On today's show, we'll meet the producer and director of the web series King of the List, and we'll find out how he created this funny and fast-paced web series.
I started about in 2008 going on to Craigslist and getting involved in various projects. And I met a guy online who we did a couple small short videos, and then he came to me and said that he wanted to do a web series. I didn't know what the heck that was, but you know, it was what it was, and we did some episodes of it. They spent quite a lot of money on the production, and the product looked amazing. It was a really good show. It never got picked up by a network, but that's how it started. And I saw how they were producing it. It was such high quality. I figured, you know, I can do this. Right. So a couple of years later, after I had been on still on Craigslist for several years, I'd found a writer and his brother to edit, and we put a team together and we created the web series in 2011. So once you have your web series done, you have to put it online somehow. And I didn't want to just put it on YouTube, although that's like the main place where everybody goes with stuff. You kind of want to put it on a different site to give it some different type of value or image. So I went on and I went online and looked for web series channels, basically. And so Coldcast happened to be one of them. And I just went and took the links of our show and sent it to them. And they got back to me immediately, said they want it. Can we do a deal? And then we just got into discussions. And the next thing you know, that was it. So I just happened to go online and just put on online web series channels and used Coldcast, and so far it's been really good relationship. Produced the show with me. I met them on Craigslist, of course. Everything I do is on Craigslist. If you're not on Craigslist, you're not going to find me, basically. Okay. So anyway, I found this writer in New York City, and I'd done a short play that he had written, and we produced it or performed it on New York stage. And then he and I kind of kept touch, and he came to 2 plays of mine. And so we started becoming better friends, and you know, just had a lot of laughs. And what happened was, I started to tell about all my nightmare stories on Craigslist and all the nuts I had met on there. And when he came to one of my shows, he met a woman who's in the first show that we actually did, and he got to talking with her, and she never stopped talking. And that's the one thing I knew this about her, because I had worked with her on another project. So he started talking. He was just inspired by how she never stopped talking and what she was talking about. She was talking about all kinds of crazy things. So he came, and when we were discussing it over margaritas, all my episodes on Craigslist, all the things I'd done on Craigslist, he was so inspired that he went and wrote a couple episodes, just short episodes, based on his meeting with her. And then we kind of laughed about what it could be about. And I meet her, I pitch her, but then she's an older woman, so I make her run downtown. She has a heart attack and dies. That's in the first episode. My first client, or one of my clients. So I read what he wrote, and I loved his writing. And so basically, that's when I took a chance. And so I went out and bought the camera and the mic. And his brother is an incredible editor, and he shot it, he filmed it. And so the writer, basically, he wrote it, and then he'd hold the boom. He'd hold the boom on so the 3 of us got together, and we're basically just splitting the whole thing if it ever makes any money, which it hasn't yet, or it's made a couple dollars, but nothing serious. And we basically just worked on these 8 episodes together, and that's kind of how we just gelled. It was just a major team effort, and so that's Jason and Brendan Huza, they write it and produce it with me. Well, finding talent has always been the easiest thing to me, because I'm a very gregarious person. I love entertainment, and it's very easy for me to find people that are good. I mean, basically all you have to do is just listen to the reaction of the audience. If the audience is reacting, you know something good's happening. Sometimes, though, you can pick them out when the audience isn't reacting, but you trust your gut that this person is very entertaining and they have some type of value. And I think those are the clients, or those are the characters that I was looking for on my show. One of them was a guy that I met in the bottom of a book depository, and while he was doing stand-up, he was drinking Jack Daniels while he was doing it. And when he swigged the Jack Daniels, the audience laughed. Not his jokes, they were awful. He's my rickshaw guy, if you ever see him. His name is Johnny Rickshaw, but Johnny Solito's his name. But there was just something about him. I'm like, I need this guy. And then I found out he actually drives a rickshaw for a living. And I was like, this is perfect. This guy's gonna be my chauffeur to the Craigslist agent, and he's gonna be battering me down. So he was perfect. Then the ventriloquist is a woman that I had met, April Brucker, doing stand-up, and she was always in these open mics that we'd do, and just awful environments. And I mean, she had nightmare sets where just people were just, she'd run out like sad as can be, crying with her doll. But she's so tough, and I just loved her way, and she's so nuts with that. So I was like, there's another character. So all the characters are kind of, they have to have some oddity to them, really, is what it comes down to. Otherwise, they're not interesting enough. And if they have talent, that's the worst thing they can have, because then it's just not that interesting. The challenges of producing the show, I would say, well, first of all, you have to have money to get a decent camera, because you want it to look good. So you got to have a decent camera, okay? And then you need someone that knows how to shoot. And that was, luckily I was able to find that person. When you're shooting in New York City, the main thing is if you have a boom mic, you have a boom, people automatically are drawn to attention. So that's trouble too. You don't want to show that boom. Don't show the boom. That's the last thing. You look around for the cops, and then you break out the boom, and then you can do the quick shots. It'd be best if you have lobs though, but so that was a big one. Is just, and people just sitting there watching, because once they see you're acting, they're just sitting there staring at you as the camera goes by. You see these people staring at these two people, and it ruins the shot. So there's always and then there's noise. Then you have incredible loud noises, and that also affects the production. You have to do retakes all the time. Speak up. I would always tell them you have to be louder. Always have to tell them. And I was directing as well, so I'd always be directing the other actor and telling the DP, Brendan, we need to take this shot. Did we get this shot? Did we get that one? And so there's a lot. There's just a lot that goes into just getting one scene. There's so much that goes into if you want to make it look real, presentable, good, And that's the beauty with today with the web series is if you can get a decent camera and mic and get a nice little team together, you can make really nice looking product. And that's thank God for technology. They've raised the whole level of everything, really. Yeah, the thing that makes I think my series stand out is that it's really a series based on reality, and that I have really been on Craigslist for 4 years now, every day, and acting in it. So I've gone through the pains and the good things that have happened to me, all from actual experiences on Craigslist. And so I think that helps. It helps the storyline, because I think you can see in my acting, hopefully, or in my persona, is that I really do feel like I am that guy, the agent, and I do feel like an agent actually in real life, even though I'm really not an agent. I have gotten a couple of the people that were on the show actual gigs, believe it or not, and I even got paid for one of them which was unbelievable. I got 10% of like $150, so I was able to get a couple beers for that. But that's the Craigslist agent. So I was even I think that's what makes it so interesting, is that it's almost like a reality TV show, but it's scripted, because these people really do what they do in this show. They really are a ventriloquist, a comedian, you name it. And then I am not exactly an agent. I'm actually an actor, but I'm always trying to help people. Even when, today I'll try, if I see someone matching up with some kind of job, I'll try to fit them towards it, because it's just how I naturally think and want to help people. Well, the marketing plan, as far as it goes right now, is we put it in Coldcast's hands, because the guy who at Coldcast is just a master of promotion and of marketing and branding. And so he's really, I feel, is the right guy to try to sell this out to the world. But in addition, I've come to Los Angeles and just trying to make networks that I've had from the past and try to forge new networks. Basically what I've done is I took the trailer of the show, and I have it on my iPhone, and I'm pretty much out there pitching like a Craigslist agent. I'm out there in the field pitching anybody that I feel could help bring it to a television network or cable network. And I'm not sure that it has to be on TV, but I feel like that's where all the big money is. That's where the big commercials are. They're paying. So that's why I'm trying to get it onto network TV. If all the money was on the net, I would just stay on the net. But it seems to be still on television. Until that switches, I still have to try to pitch these people. So I'm basically trying to set up meetings at any type of production company, or having meetings with any networks and I've been able to get a couple. Not necessarily with me, but I've had to go and make promises like an agent would to other people that if they get this show to network, I'll give them a piece of the show. And I'm not afraid to do that. Brendan and Jason, the other producers, we're not afraid to do that, because you need help just to get the stuff done. Everybody needs help to get this stuff. It's really a communal effort, no matter how it goes. And so, so basically, yeah, it's just really using that. Another beautiful thing is the iPhone. I can show my trailer to people anywhere, like anywhere you are. I can see you. Just hit play. If you have a minute and a half of your time, sir. Or I always say, yeah, I'm here in LA to sell my show. And they say, oh, really? What's it about? And then that's perfect. That's my cue line. I go, well, do you have a minute and a half? Oh, it is a minute and a half, the trailer. And they say, yeah. And they're like, oh, here, what are you talking about? And I'm like, here you go, boom. And I show them the trailer. So then now you have the trailer playing, which is beautiful. And so they get a good indication of what it is, and it looks good. And then you can tell them. So the idea is like you can embellish and go on further with what it's about. But they already have a good sense mentally of what it is. Instead of trying to pitch a script, well, it's about this and it's about that. It's like, yeah, well, you're another crazy nut in Hollywood. My advice I would give to producers that want to start and create something is, number one, you got to have a really good idea, which everyone thinks they have a really good idea, but you have to focus on it and figure out, is there a lot you can do with this idea? Can you write more to the idea? It's very important that it's not just one simple thing that you can't add on to. So that's the first thing you need to do. The second thing you really need to do is get a good team, because you're going to spend a lot of time out there shooting, and you have to make sure that you really work well with people. You don't want to work with people that just your head's butt on a lot of stuff and bad personalities, because it's work, and it's enduring work, and you have to have a team of people that can do that. So that's really the two pieces of advice that are very important, is working with a good team and making sure that your project is something that you can write to and kind of hasn't been done in a way, or if it's a different angle towards it, why it's unique. But the team is key. I'm in another web series that we shot in New York, which is a very cool web series called Group. And in that web series, it's about group therapy for all these people with different backgrounds, and they're kind of going through just their problems that they've had in their life and expressing them, and then we're cutting to them in actual scenes, and it's a comedy, but it's really interesting and it's a funny web series, which they're trying to get money so that they can produce more of it. So they've only had one episode up, but yeah, it's called Group, the web series. And so that's one that I'm working on, and I'll probably have other ideas for other web series, but right now we really love the King of the List on Coldcast, and I just think the King of Craigslist, there's so many ideas, there's so many more things, so many more people I need to represent out there. So we're focusing on that. And that's one more thing, is really you got to focus on one thing when you're doing this stuff. Everybody's doing this project, that project, that project. Well, then the stuff's never that good, because you're spread it out here, and you're not focusing on that one thing that could get you there. And that's what we're really focusing on, the King of the List.
So what I'd like to highlight from today's show is that the creator told us he created his characters based on people he knew in real life, people he had met on Craigslist or through other real life situations, through employment, through jobs, through things like that. And he built his characters from them. He even said some of the actors in the web series were those real people. And he is a very high energy person. As I interviewed him, I could see how the character he created for the web series was living through the character. And that's a good idea for writers. They always say, write what you know. And if you're creating a web series and you want to bring true life characters to the web screen, you should base those on maybe someone you know, a relative, a friend, something like that. And that adds instant credibility and reality to your characters. I'm James Tucker, and you've been watching The Web Series Show.